Hello, how are y'all doing out there? My name is Bob Peters, and it is time for Happy Hour. We're coming to you live from the Cool Fish Bar, and we're excited for our beautiful, beautiful Thursday afternoon broadcast. Please follow along if you're not already. We are on Instagram at CoolFishLKN, and we are doing our Happy Hour classes Monday through Thursday from 5 o'clock to about 5:30. Typically we're doing 2 to 3 drinks and something easy and fun for you guys to do at home in the safety of your own home. So you guys can follow along. A lot of the times we are doing things that you'll have at your own house, like if you have a bottle of gin laying around or if you want to substitute it with some vodka. You know, we've done a couple of bourbon-y type drinks. But at any rate, you guys can substitute lots of these things for whatever you have at home and makeshift. Like if you don't have a shaker, then we can stir things. Anytime you guys have a question, please feel free to ask questions down in the comments box below. And if it's after we do the live broadcast, then we'll get back to you with a correct answer a little bit later, okay? I'm trying to think. Today is really going to be a really fun day. The weather is getting more and more beautiful. That tiny little cold snap that we had, I think, is broken, and I would imagine that it's going to be pretty warm sailing from here on out for the rest of the spring into the summer. So this is the perfect weather for one of my favorite cocktails and something you guys will absolutely love. We've been talking about this for a couple of days. So I hope you guys went out and got a bottle because there's nothing exactly quite like this liquor. This is called Pimm's. This Pimm's is a very, very popular liquor in London, in Britain, and Great Britain. It is really beautiful, very popular liquor. So this, though, is not really like anything else. So sometimes in other recipes, you can substitute vodka for gin or tequila for mezcal or, you know, whatever, bourbon for rye, or, you know, you can kind of bebop around and get the same understanding of the cocktail. This is a little different, okay? So Pimm's has been around for a couple, like 150 years, I believe. Again, it's a British liquor, and okay, so it's hard to explain. It's a gin-based liquor, but it's really not that strong. It's more of a digestif. In fact, when it was first made, it was considered to be a medicine. So digestif is a fancy word for a digestive. So something that aids your digestion after you finish like a big meal or if your stomach's a little upset. And the reason why things typically are considered to be a digestif is because they're so herbal. There's tons of really beautiful herbs in there that, when working together, sort of settle your stomach. Now, this is an extraordinary thing after you have like a giant meal, and you're sitting there, and after the meal's over, you're a little bit miserable because you ate too much. So you can sip on a little bit of Pimm's. There's also tons of other digestifs. Earlier in the week, we were talking about Amaros or bitter liqueurs from Italy. Those typically are the same thing. So some very light sipping on it after dinner. You can do it straight. And typically, they're not super strong in alcohol. In fact, Pimm's is only 50 proof. It's 25% alcohol by volume. So it's not going to get you anywhere too fast, too quick. Too quick, too fast. It's not going to get you there. You're not going to get drunk. Not unless you drink a bunch of them really fast. That's right, pictures of Wilmington. And that's a great point. This actually, in the spring, in the summer, when Wimbledon is being played, the giant, super huge, worldwide prestigious tennis tournament that's in London, actually, this is like their official drink. So it's been around, like I said, for a long time. It's a digestif. It's not that strong. So as things were going along, in the 1940s, this was being drank a lot in New Orleans, but it was drank as a digestif, just very little bit of it sort of sipped. and there was a bar owner in New Orleans, 1940-ish, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was called the Napoleon Bar, which it was open for like 200 years in New Orleans at that point. And he was trying, because New Orleans is such a healthy drinking town, he was trying to come up with some kind of cocktail where all of his customers wouldn't be hammered by 7 o'clock. So what he did was he came up with something that was really easy to drink and just not a ton of booze in it. So Pimm's cup is really, really beautiful. It will take the edge off a little bit. So this would be considered somewhere around the understanding of a low ABV cocktail, because again, we're only dealing with about 50 proof here. So he just simply mixed it with like some lemon juice and some soda water, some mint and cucumber, and voila, Pimm's cup was born. And still in New Orleans, Pimm's has got a very rich tradition, and it is something that you see a lot of people drinking. So again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below and we'll get right to them. Alex is back here taking care of me. But I wanted to make a couple of different sort of styles of these Pimm cups. The Pimm's, everybody sort of has their own different recipe for them, kind of like everybody's mom has a different recipe for homemade spaghetti. So if you don't have Sprite in your refrigerator or anything like that, then you can use soda water and we can sweeten it up in different areas. If you don't have mint, then we can use other things. So let's start with the basics and then we'll sort of build into some more interesting things, okay? So we're going to start off with our Collins glass, and we're going to go ahead and fill it up with some ice. Okay, we've got that, and then we're going to put 2 ounces of our Pimm's into our glass. There we go, nice full 2 ounces, and we're just going to pour this one in here. This is about one of the simplest recipes that you're ever going to find ever, okay? So we have the 2 ounces in there, and then you can put Sprite in there if you have Sprite. I used this a little bit earlier in the week, and this is one of my favorite things. This is grapefruit Jarritos. So this is very, very similar to a Sprite. However, it has a hint of grapefruit in it as well. And I really love how that tastes. So I'm going to use Jarritos. Again, if you have Sprite, use Sprite, 7-Up, whatever you have. Very, very easy. So we have 2 ounces in there. And that's kind of it. I mean, as simple as you can. It's like a Pimm's and Sprite sort of idea. And again, the Pimm's is a gin-based herbal digestif. So it's got this herby flavor to it. It's hard to describe because it's not really like anything that you've ever had before, but really simple. Very refreshing. There's a little earthiness to it, just a slight touch of bitterness. But where the real fun in Pimm's comes is in the garnish, okay? So I'm going to push that to the side, leave that there for a second. I'm going to make a little bit of space so you guys can see what I'm doing. We've got our cutting board and our knife out here. And I'm going to take a beautiful apple. I'm going to slice that in half. Okay, so I've got my 2 halves here. Pick the pretty half, and then I'm going to give a couple of slices. So that first slice, I'm going to save to eat here in a second. And then I'm going to give this a couple more nice thin slices. 1, 2, give it 1 more, 3, okay? And you can do this a couple of different ways. You can just sort of shove them down in there. I like to sort of fan them out. If you just cut them off, then they sort of stick back together. And you can put that down in there. And all of a sudden starts to get really, really pretty. Okay, my apple. And then I'm going to go into some cucumber. You can cut a couple of nice little wheels off of that. And then you can do the same thing and sort of fan them out. And let's put that down in here, like so. Okay. And again, now it's getting pretty. Okay, we're going to put that off to the side. And then if you want to use lemon, you can put lemon in there, you can put lime in there, any of those fun things. But cucumber, apple, let's go ahead, let's put a little mint in there too. What about that? All right, so let's just pick a big fat pretty sprig of mint. All right, got a nice sprig here. And I'm just gonna snap the bottom off of it. I've got the stem snapped off, but there's still a little bit on there. Then I'm going to gather a little bunch, and then I'm going to poke it down in the side right there. And then that's it. How did it turn out? Is it pretty? Beautiful. Okay, and then that's it, right? So how simple was that? Lots and lots of presentation, but that is a big part of the Pimm's cup. So if you want, you can, when it's your turn to drink it, you shove all that stuff down in there, and it only gets better as it sits around and you're drinking it. Alex, you ready? Want to try it? Sure. This is as simple as it gets. And then we're going to make another one a little bit different.
I'm going to use a straw because that one's so pretty, I want to leave it out.
All right. See, there's some earthiness to it, definitely some herbiness to it. Really yummy, easy to drink. There's barely a hint of alcohol in there because it's on the low ABV side, and just easy. You know, it's kind of like making a vodka tonic.
Right. It makes you wonder why people drink vodka soda or vodka tonic when you can have these very kind of easy, light, refreshing options.
This is very light, very refreshing, and again, it's great because, you know, if you want a liquor drink, but you want something refreshing, but you're not really ready to get after it yet, this is your perfect opportunity. Or if you're just starting off, this is a great way to slide into your evening. You have a couple of Pimm's cups, and then that way it stretches out your longevity a little bit as well. Cool? Okay, well, let's do a different one. Let's do something different. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to type something in the bottom. Alex is going to take care of me and translate for me. And if you guys aren't following us on Instagram, please make sure to follow us at CoolFishLKN. Got it? All right. Let's do another. So we're going to go back in our Collins glass. Got our Collins glass here. So let's get just a little bit more interesting. Let's get a little bit more involved in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our shaker this time, and we're going to take a little piece of cucumber. I mean, that's probably an inch or two chunk of cucumber. And then I'm going to cut that in half, just to make it easy, right? Okay, and I'm going to pop that in there. Now I'm going to go into my mint. Now I'm going to get a handful of mint, like fairly good, right? Rip it in half. I'm going to throw everything in there, the leaves and the stems. Okay, what else am I going to put in there? Now I'm going to put, I'm going to muddle. That's what I'm going to do. There it is. So I've got my muddler. If you guys don't have a muddler at home, that's okay. You can use a wooden spoon, or a lot of times I'll use a bottle, like a Tabasco bottle works really well. Fits nicely down in the glass. Just make sure to wash the bottom of the bottle off. So we've got our mint in there and our cucumber. We're giving it a good smash. I wish you could smell this. Smell-o-vision. Make $1 million. Okay, so, wow, that's amazing. So I've got my mint and my cucumber nice and muddled in there. Okay, now I'm going to add the ice. Got my ice in. I'm going to do 2 full ounces, again, of Pimm's. I'm going to do a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. Okay. Give it a good shake. All right. So, I'm going to test this, see where we're at, see how good that tastes, and what we need to add next to it. Ooh, okay. So that is really delicious, but I have an idea. So let's add some of our homemade strawberry syrup to this. We're going to add 1 ounce of our strawberry syrup to that. That's the recipe, I believe, is on a link that we put up yesterday, correct?
Correct. It's on the Facebook page. That's a separate link.
Okay, so check out the Facebook page if you guys want to see our recipe for some homemade strawberry syrup. It's super easy, and you can do it kind of with whatever fruit you have, okay? So let's give this another shake. And I'll tell you what I did. Instead of using Sprite, 7-Up, or Jarritos this time to top it off, and that's where I'm getting all the sugar and from that, the sweetness. And it does need some sweetness. It is herby by itself, a touch bitter. So you need something to sort of bring in the sweetness to balance out the cocktail, okay? So that's where I have the sweetness coming in from there. So what I did instead this time, because I'm not going to add something sweet and bubbly, I'm going to add the strawberry syrup to it, which will add that sweetness that we're looking for in order to balance our cocktail. Okay, let me rinse my tins. Okay, and then we're going to add some Lenny Boy ginger kombucha. It's one of our favorite things around here. We actually have this on tap too. Just going to add a little bit of that, probably about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces, somewhere around there. Give it a stir, right, so that we mix everything real nicely. And then that way, that first sip you get just isn't all kombucha. Let's give this another little taste before we start garnishing. Make sure that's right. That's really delicious. Wow, that you can taste everything in that. That's really, really neat. Okay, so let's garnish this again. But let's garnish this a little differently. So,
The boots gave it a little bit of a froth on top too. A little
I totally did. All right, so I'm going to wake that mint up so it's nice and fragrant. Snap the stem off the bottom. I'm going to put that right down in the glass, and then let's see. Well, this time should we do some orange? Let's do some orange. So I'm just going to go back to that wheel, and we're just going to cut about as thin as you can get it. I mean, that is fairly thin, okay? And we're going to slide that down right in the edge of the glass. And then we can put that mint over to the side. And then, again, voila, like super, super simple, really beautiful, I think, and easy to drink. How's that look? Pretty easy, right? Again, just a little different variation. It's definitely the soul of that is the same as our first our first super simple 1.0 version. And then we just got we got a little bit more creative by adding some muddled cucumber and muddled mint. And then we added in some of our homemade strawberry syrup to add some sweetness to it. And then instead of using a Sprite or a 7-Up, lemon and lime, grapefruit soda, whatever you want to say, we added a little ginger kombucha to it, so it adds yet another depth of flavor. I think you need to try this one too.
And if they're not familiar with Lenny Boy, I think most people are. They keep so much of it around, but it's made down in Charlotte.
Yep, Lenny Boy is another one of our favorite local products, made right down the street in Charlotte. And it's actually organic, and they're one of the only 2 organic kombucha breweries in the southeast that are organic.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So you can taste the herbiness for sure, right? You can taste that little, those notes of cucumber in there. The mint is very prevalent. The strawberries add in some sweetness, but it's not like candy, you know? I think that one turned out well, and the ginger kombucha, I think adds a nice funky ginger note to it, which I really like.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on in that drink.
A lot of things, right? Okay, so we got 2, right? We got 2 done. Let's do one more. Do we have time? Sure. What time is it? Oh, good. Okay. All right. So let's do one more, and let's get kind of zany with this one, right? So let's go way outside the box. Okay. So we have our glass of ice ready. We're going to go back in. We got 2 ounces again of our Pimms. Oh. So let's muddle some things first. We'll do some cucumber, which I think is really beautiful in this drink. Okay. We can put, what else? Let's do some mint. Also. All right, we'll give that a muddle. Make sure everything is nice and mashed up in there. What you're trying to do when you're muddling herbs, fresh herbs, is you're trying to sort of break down the cell membranes. You're also trying to break up the leaves without like smashing or grinding or like totally like turning them into dust. And so what that does is it lets out all the beautiful oil that's in the mat. And that's why things get so fragrant so fast when you muddle things and use fresh ingredients. Okay? All right, so now we have our cucumber in there. We also have our mint. I want to add some apple as well. We're going to get another layer of flavor in there. Let's muddle that one again. Get that apple in there. When people say, why don't you just add apple juice? Well, unless you're juicing the apple yourself, the flavor is going to be better this way. If you have a really nice apple cider that somebody made, then you can definitely use that. But this is going to give you really great, beautiful flavor without any additional sugar or preservatives or any of that extra stuff in there. Okay? So let's add some ice to that. And let's go in for our 2 ounces that I have here of our Pimms. Let's use an ounce of simple syrup. Ooh. And then I also want to add a 1/2 ounce of OJ. Fresh squeezed. Look at that. The color is incredible. All right. Give it a good shake. This one is going to be crazy good. Okay. Let's give it a little taste, see where we're at, see how our balance is. Okay, it's sweet, but that's okay. All right, so we're getting close here. Now let's go ahead and we'll double strain this into our Collins glass. And again, we're straining it once with our Hawthorne strainer and then another time with the tea strainer. And then that's going to catch any pulp from the OJ that we didn't strain out earlier, any of those pieces of mint or cucumber or apple or anything. So what's left over is really just a beautiful texture, very adult cocktail. It's going to be silky smooth, very pleasant to drink. Okay? I'm going to give my tins a rinse. All right. Now, here's the fun part. So I want some bubbles, right? I want something to sort of fill this up. Now, this is going to make it a little bit boozier, but not the end of the world, nothing too crazy. So we have some really beautiful sparkling sake that we serve here at Cool Fish, and that's what I'm going to top this with. Really beautiful, nice bubbles, interesting flavor, and this is definitely going to add sort of an Asian twist on this. Look at that. That's just really, really beautiful. The foam that we're getting on this is great. Okay, so of course we're going to give that a stir again, just like the kombucha. We don't want to taste just the sake at first. So let's give it a nice little stir. Make sure everything is mixing well together. Let's give it another taste before we get into our magical garnishing. Wow, that is so delicious. Okay, all right, so let's do some fresh strawberries, because we had strawberry syrup in the last one, which is a great flavor inside of this Pimm's and strawberries, of course. So I've got some really beautiful fresh South Carolina strawberries here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice that in half, okay? And then I'm going to take the prettier side, see right there, and then I'm going to flip it onto the flat side, and then I'm going to cut it sort of at an angle like that. And that will allow me a way to hang it on the edge of the glass toward facing the person that's drinking it, okay? See, so that's where we are so far. And then with our cucumber left over, I'm going to take a couple of peels right here. Get a couple of those out of the way, and then we get these really nice strips of cucumber from the peel that we can play with. All right. See, isn't that interesting? Okay. So let's take these and let's just roll them up into some nice pretty little pieces. Put that down in our glass. We'll get another one. We're going to roll this one just a little bit tighter so it's a smaller roll. And you can play with this as much as you want. This is actually some of the most fun part of all of it. See, you can put that in there. All right, it's getting good. It's getting good. What else can we put in there? What else? Anything? You want to put let's put a couple apple slices in there? Why not?
I like in the Cool Fish version of the Pimm's Cup that we do the strawberry cucumber. I like those two together.
That is, yeah, the version, we have just a little bit different version with some fresh shiso as well, which is a Japanese herb that is really, really beautiful. And that one might be my all-time favorite, to be honest. Okay. And then we're going to fan out our apples like we did earlier. You can put that down in the glass, and then voila. Again, the Pimm's Cup, a lot of it is about the garnishes and having fun with it. I like to incorporate some different flavors in there instead of just the ultra simple sort of classic version of like Sprite or 7-Up and Pimm's. So this one we did Pimm's, we did some simple syrup, some apple, some mint, some cucumber, and then topped it with some sparkling sake, and then garnished with apple and cucumber and strawberry. And I mean, that is a gym dandy.
That one looks so good. I want to bring it up real close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can just see how it looks on the top there.
Right? Isn't that pretty?
It's just a beautiful way to present a drink.
Let's see if it tastes any good. Man, it's so good. Like, there's just a light sweetness to it. Again, very easy to drink. I think you need to try that one too there, Alex. Okay, that is it. That's our class today. So if you don't have any Pimm's, if you haven't been following along, then run out to the grocery store, or not the grocery store, excuse me, the liquor store. And that would be nice, right? Run out to the liquor store and pick up a bottle of Pimm's and then play with it. Get lots and lots of fun things to garnish with. But remember, it can be just as simple as a nice low alcohol content cocktail out on your patio, or a nice easy way to settle into your evening. And you can just do Sprite if you want, or you can get creative like we did. Okay, guys, any comments or questions, please feel free to drop comments or questions down below, and we'll answer them as soon as we can. And we will see you guys on Monday. Remember, Monday through Thursday, 5 o'clock, we'll be here for happy hour at Cool Fish. Thank you.